Can you believe we're getting this? Listeners, the co-main event of UFC 294, Kamaru Usman is moving up to middleweight to replace Paulo Costa on short notice to face Khamzat Chimaev, the man that they were desperate to get in there for a welterweight title shot against Usman when he was a champion. It's happening at middleweight, and Dana has said that the winner will get the next shot at Sean Strickland's middleweight title. Now, as I said on another video, rest in peace the career of Dricus du Plessis. I actually don't care. I don't mind that, to be honest. I don't mind if the winner of this gets the next title shot.
I care. I can't let that slide.
You just care about the legacy of Robert Whittaker. You don't care about. That's what you care about.
That is my driving guide in this discussion. Yes, because if you finish Robert Whittaker, Joe,
God. Listen to his voice.
Yeah, I'm emotional just talking about it. If you finish him, then yeah, you have to fight for the belt. You have to. However, this is a rock star fight, and I think the fact that it's for the belt, I think they had to say that to Usman, because otherwise, why on earth would he take this fight?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I know he's getting paid championship money for this.
Well, you need more than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just be clear. The man's coming off of two losses. Consecutive losses to Leon Edwards.
Yep.
In some ways, the second was even more definitive than the first. Now that sounds crazy, but when you're beating quite comfortably over 5 rounds,
yes,
that says a lot. And his era seems to have passed at welterweight. But he is, however, Kamaru Usman, the second best welterweight that we've seen in the UFC, and that carries some weight. So he's right there for another title shot at some point if Leon is to slip somewhere. Not if you go and get mashed by Khamzat Chimaev. And Khamzat Chimaev mashes people.
Yes. Shall I go into like the X's and O's of this fight, Tom, the technicals, or do you want to talk about the narrative a bit more of this?
I think we have to look at the narrative because, again, like when you heard that Paulo Costa was out,
yes.
Now that was devastating news for me.
Yeah, same.
Because that's a freak show fight, And they've got story. They've got a story together. They've been chirping away at each other. They had that incident at the UFC Performance Institute, whatever it's called. It was a hilarious build. Where imagine these two in the press conference just like screaming at each other, but both screaming at each other in English. And just like absolutely making no sense. It would have been brilliant. Paulo makes all the sense in the world. I love that man.
I love that man.
I understand you, Paulo.
I would say though that I did think Chimaev was going to run through him.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, good. All right,
come on. Yeah. From a sporting perspective, it didn't have much value, but just for the memes, Joe. For the memes.
Yeah.
Now they did it again. They upstaged that fight by getting Usman to sign. I just couldn't believe that Kamaru would take this fight. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Unless he had the guarantee of the title shot. That has to be it.
Do you really think that he, strategically, with Trevor Whitman, thinks this is the best decision for him?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Because otherwise he'll be having to fight Bilal Muhammad, the most dodged man in the welterweight division.
I think he beats him.
Maybe not.
I think he beats him. Ooh. I think Usman's still right there at welterweight.
My issue with Usman is the age and the wear and tear that we all know about. I mean, I'm amazed he took this fight before January 1st. Once USADA's gone and that new quote drug testing that they have coming on in the UFC. I mean, really, he should have been asking to get this on the maybe the February pay-per-view instead, so he can get nice and ready and warmed up.
Which he could have done.
Yeah, he could have called that. But
I mean, Khamzat is like, it was a worrying fight anyway when he was the champ. Like,
yes.
He's Kamaru Usman, so it's not that worrying. Like, but still, it's not a fight you want to have coming up.
No, you don't want to see that coming over the mountain. You don't want that coming over the hilltop and.
There's got to be. It doesn't matter how good you are. There's got to be doubts when a man comes in like Khamzat's come in. There's got to be like, oh my god, like, am I actually good enough? Like,
Yeah.
you know, because this guy is terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, he this is the interesting part of the fight, though, for me, is that I wonder what the wrestling exchanges are going to look like. Because Khamzat's going to shoot on him. He's going to shoot on him inside a minute. He's going to be shot out of a fucking cannon. He's going to come flying out there, going to try and take him down. I wonder if Usman's actually not going to go for a takedown defense and is actually just going to respond with offensive wrestling of his own. I think that is a really interesting way for Usman to approach the wrestling here. So if Khamzat shoots in, because Khamzat, he sort of comes up and down and he throws his hand and he throws his jab out, and he throws the jab out at different ranges to sort of like see how you react to the jab movement, and then he'll throw the takedown from there. And it's not just takedown, gets the hips, okay, next step. It's the takedown, hips, push through, all in one huge motion that I think Usman could actually use to actually counter and roll with in the wrestling. Like you could break out like a Peterson roll or like
hold on,
alligator roll, like that
well,
sort of thing.
we do have a nice case study to explore your perspective here, Joe. Kevin Holland tried rolling. he tried every time was Chimaev took him down. He rolled with him, and he had, you know, some success until eventually Chimaev just rolled with him.
Yeah, but Usman's a better wrestler than Kevin Holland.
Undoubtedly, but you know, is he a better roller? I don't know. I don't know.
I wonder if then also if he does manage to keep it standing as well, and
because let me just underline that point.
Yeah.
Kevin Holland is practicing nothing but rolling when he knows that he's going to have to fight a wrestler. Like that is what he's driven.
Yeah, but he wasn't supposed to fight him. Remember, he was supposed to fight Daniel Rodriguez.
No, but he already fought, you know, Vettori and Brunson, and just got sat on his ass, you know, at will. And just sat there and lay there. Like he knows once he's on his back, it's over. So when he's like, all right, Holland, you know, we need to try to round out this issue in your game. They've got him rolling, Joe, roly polies, non-stop. That is him training for a wrestling matchup. And do you think that's what Kamaru Usman is doing when they talk about training wrestling? No. So I'm saying, in that defensive aspect, I actually think Holland is more effective. Like no. Specifically in rolling.
But the thing is, then, though, if Usman's training the offensive side of wrestling more than the defensive side, because of, you know, that's his natural ability, and the contenders he's facing are not natural wrestlers in the same way, surely then he would have an offensive mindset then, that when the wrestling starts, he would then also respond with attacking moves.
Yeah.
From there. So what I'm wondering then is,
because you're talking about exploiting Chimaev's explosiveness, right?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Because I think also if this gets past minute 3 or 4, what's this fight going to look like? You know, is Khamzat going to take a deep breath and he's going to be like, all right, here we go. And then Usman's there and he's not breathing that heavy, and then he just starts pumping that jab out there, and you know, he starts like duffing you up and throws that jab, gets the collar tie and throws uppercuts from there like he's done before. You know, Usman's striking is not, neither of these guys' striking is like particularly technically superb, but they're both effective in what they need. You know, and I think that Usman, if he can get past that and get into the second round, that explosiveness is not going to be there for Chimaev, I don't think.
No, and the fight we have to look at for this is Burns Chimaev.
Yes.
Did you have time this week to get to that one? I mean, it's probably fresh in the memory. I know you've watched it more than once, anyway.
I've watched it 2 or 3 times. The last time I watched it was about a month ago because I was trying to get ready for the Paulo Costa fight.
And I know you're something of a truther on that fight. Commentary team went wild for it, but I think in hindsight you felt it wasn't quite up to that kind of billing.
No. It's not the great fight that people think it is. You know, it has great moments. It has great explosive moments, but, you know, it's not on the level of, like, Yoel Romero, Paulo Costa. Do you know what I mean? Where that is just
that's
carnage.
Not fair. That's not fair competition.
But that's what people build it to.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of great 3-round wars.
Yeah,
that's what he got compared to.
I mean, it was great in that, of course, Chimaev won the first. Burns came right back at him. He heard him, He fended off the wrestling for the most part, and then Chimaev overcame him in the third. I mean, there's a lot to take away from that. I mean, Chimaev with clear holes to work on. Definitely some issues with temperament and, let's say, fight IQ.
Yes.
That might be a wider issue about IQ in general. We have discussed that possibility.
Yes.
Credit to Jack Slack with the original theory that maybe Chimaev's not...
It's a bit simple.
Not the sharpest tool in the box. I think there's,
Yeah.
Of course, what he said after beating Holland in America.
Yes.
Speaks to that. Yes, and the date.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe, that's just unforgivable.
Yeah, it might be something to do why he hasn't fought in a year.
Well, that's not great fight IQ, is it?
No, it's not. It's not indeed. It is quite smart though that he got a passport for the United Arab Emirates now, so he's might be able to move around a bit more freely. Moving on, let's actually go back to the X's and O's though of this fight.
Yep.
If you're Khamzat's coach, you're telling him now you just have to blast him with low kicks as well, aren't you? You have to against Usman. You have to be chipping away at that front leg, particularly the right knee. I don't know if you saw that video of Usman training. He had the right knee strapped up.
Honestly, it would depress me. I don't know how he's able to keep the level that he has. I just watched him walking next to Makhachev, and with bowed knees. He also he looks small next to Makhachev, which was just bewildering.
That's the other thing about the weight, because I know there's a saying well, Usman's having to come down from 200 to make 170. It's yes, true, but now Chimaev has made the move to middleweight. He's bulked out for middleweight. He's fighting a middleweight. He's not fighting a blown up welterweight anymore.
I mean, Usman is he's kind of peak welterweight. These are the most size you can really get away with there. Whereas Chimaev is obviously a middleweight. Yes,
yeah. The sort of Darren Till spot.
Darren Till, yeah.
Leon Edwards is another one as well that pushes that welterweight limit. I've got to say, that man is gigantic. Again, going back to the actual fight itself, I feel like the excitement's not there for you in the same way that it is for Volkanovski Makhachev.
It certainly is. It's just worry for Usman. Where he's at. I'm torn on it, Joe. I'm torn because I think if I'm gonna get peak Usman and I watch the Burns Chimaev fight, I think Usman can win it over 5 rounds. Yeah, I think he can. I think that he could wear on Chimaev. I think Chimaev has got it in him to gas.
Yeah, he does.
I think he can be baited into that quite easy. And someone with the kind of championship nous that Usman has over 5 rounds, I just think he could overcome Chimaev if we're getting a peak Usman. But I don't know who we're getting on 12 days' notice when he's 36 and he's coming off the back of 2 losses. The alternative thought is that he's just going to get absolutely smoked, and that would make me sad. So, yeah, the excitement's definitely there if I know I'm getting prime Usman. But I've watched a few interviews with him. I don't know. I think he might be on the way down the mountain.
Yeah. I think so as well. That's why I have picked Khamzat Chimaev to win this fight. And I think it's going to be by decision.
So walk me through how the fight goes then.
I think Khamzat maybe doesn't explode out the traps like he normally does. I think he maybe waits a bit longer and picks his shots if he can, if he's got that in him to hold that in. And I think he probably takes the first 2 rounds, and then Usman will probably rally for the third. Because I do think Chimaev does have massive issues with cardio. And do you know what the example I thought of was the grappling match he had with Jack Hermansson, where he in the first 10 minutes of that won quite comfortably, and then when they got to the second round of it, and I think it was another 5 minutes from there, he was exhausted, trying to just keep Hermansson off him. But that's the straight up grappling. That's different cardio. That's different uses of energy.
I mean, so in your forecast of this fight, we're talking about a more caged Khamzat, but that intimates to me that he doesn't just blast in and try for a takedown, reach down for single legs, or try to explode through Usman. I mean,
I think he will do that at points.
And Usman then is able to, keep him off him?
No.
Does it stay as a stand-up fight?
I think Khamzat's at points might be too big for him. Like, in terms of the grappling. I think also, hopefully, for Chimaev's sake, if I'm going down that road, hopefully his coaches are saying to him, like, take it a bit easier on this fight. This is a guy that you're getting on short notice. It's not the camp that we set up. Let's just get the win because we've got a title shot after this. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't risk it. Don't do anything stupid. I mean, if he's got that in him, then I think this might be a quite comfortable decision for him.
I've got to push back on you here. Like, you watch the Burns fight. He was not able to take Burns down at will. And in fact, there are moments in that where Chimaev chooses not to go into Burns' guard. Now, obviously, Usman isn't the jiu-jitsu practitioner that Burns is. But, Makhachev was more than happy to oblige Oliveira in his guard.
Yeah, but that's I don't know, that's different. That's different. Because I think if there was a chance that Usman's on his back and, he'd be going into his guard, I think Chimaev would just go in. I don't think he wouldn't have the worry against Usman. But Makhachev, but it's just interesting
that he had a worry against Burns. Like, that he didn't want to be down there with him. I just found that quite.
But doesn't that then show then also that maybe he would think, okay, that's a worry, so I'm not going to do that. The cardio might be a worry for me against Usman, so I'm not going to.
So hold on. In that case, you're saying that that is what prevented him from implementing a more wrestle-heavy approach against Burns. Is the threat of Burns' jiu-jitsu?
I would say so.
And that threat is now removed against Usman, so he just goes in there and just spams relentless takedowns.
I don't think he spams relentless takedowns. No, I don't think so.
All right, I think let's explore one other possibility.
Go on then.
Chimaev shoots, can't take him down. Usman sprawls, they get back up, and it's a stand-up fight. How does it go?
Oof. I still favour Chimaev.
You don't see Usman kind of marching forward, landing big jabs. Chimaev exploding and getting caught, like he was getting caught by Burns's check hook coming in.
Yeah, but Burns is throwing wilder, loopier shots than Usman. Usman throws straighter shots and works behind a more conventional jab than Burns, for example. So, if you've got Khamzat coming round with like a big right hand, the jab probably will be there for Usman. I don't know. I'm just struggling. I'm struggling to see how Usman wins this fight. To be honest, like I don't think you can't finish Chimaev. I don't think.
Okay.
I don't see that happening unless Chimaev just absolutely gasses himself out.
I mean, he stopped Burns. He stopped Covington.
Yeah, but Burns and Covington,
he stopped Masvidal.
They're a bit chinny though. They're a bit chinny, and Masvidal was washed.
Covington is chinny.
Yes, he finished him in the first fight. He dropped him in the second, and he got dropped by a beyond washed and exhausted Masvidal in their fight. And he was finished by Wally Alves, so which we'll get to later. Look, Tom, give me your prediction. I've said Chimaev by decision. What are you picking?
Yeah, I've picked Usman. I have
head's gone, listeners. His head's gone.
Yeah. Put some respect on his name, Joe. Put some respect on his name. I watched that fight against Burns, and I was not impressed with Khamzat. I think he can be refined. I think he can, fight much more intelligently with good coaching. I don't know if he's ready to receive that message. To put it mildly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Usman has the caliber to beat him. I think Usman, on the kind of form that he's had in his whole career, I think it's enough.
Okay.
I would love to see it over 5 rounds. Then I would have more conviction in my pick. Can you imagine Khamzat Chimaev not being able to take Usman down, entering a 4th and 5th round? You don't think Usman just wears on him, batters him against the cage, upsets him, and Khamzat is just resorting to exploding, or constantly going back to that athleticism? I think it could even be. No, don't want to say easy work, but you've got to give me that.
Yeah, sure.
The later
but it's
rounds,
3 rounds.
It is 3 rounds. Yeah, it is 3 rounds. I've picked Usman by decision.
Mad choice, but I love it. I absolutely love it. Right.
Last time you said that, Joe, was Gaethje knockout over Poirier.
Was it?
Yeah.
I didn't think they were that mad of a choice, did I?
Yeah. You were convinced that Poirier.